Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 26th episode of the Cyberpunk 2077 Community Podcast. Today with me, I have the Triple S League.
Hello, how are you? This is Obsidian, calling in for the Triple S League. How
Then,
is how is you today?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Had a lot of sleep, so now
That
I'm
is always good.
now I'm ready. Yeah. We also have Neon with us.
Hello, chat. Hello, LastKnownMeal and Triple S. How you guys doing?
Hello, hello.
Good. I've checked the audio and we're 100%. No more audio bugs. Woohoo!
Oh my
Yes,
God,
finally.
it's like every
That was
time.
so annoying.
Yeah. And by the way, MadQueen is not here. She is absent from this podcast. She is coming on the next one. So, yeah, this week you only have the three of us, but we'll have fun. We'll talk about Cyberpunk, and yeah, everything I think is good when it comes to audio. So
Should be.
we should be good. All right. Let's. So for the first topic tonight, because we don't have that many, news and discussions right now around Cyberpunk 2077, there has been after all these conventions, you always have this pause to gather the results, to analyze everything, and then continue with everything else. So for the first topic, I wanted to talk about cyberpunk as a subgenre, how much it meant in the 90s, in the 80s, how much it means now. And it seems to me that there was this slight pause when it comes to cyberpunk. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think 2077 is really re-stimulating that. It's bringing awareness back to the tabletop kind of roots of
Mm.
Cyberpunk 2020 to Mike Pondsmith's vision. I think a lot of different media forms are like following after suit
Mm-hmm.
because we have, Altered Carbon, all these Netflix series,
Mm-hmm.
games that are coming out, even, Watch Dogs kind of like has that kind of cyberpunk flair to it, all these
Mm.
different kind of mediums, so it's good. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a great genre, so
Yeah, it is. You, Sib?
You've clearly got like an impact on the on pop culture when you have people reimagining the entire cast of the Avengers as cyberpunk characters. So that which is an article that just went up just a little bit of an hour, a little bit more than an hour or two ago,
Mm.
and it's right because it's like it is having an impact and it is bringing back a lot of cyberpunky things. There was a time, things always come in stages. Like
Yeah.
right before the moon landing, westerns were the way to go. Everything was about westerns. Every major award-winning movie was either about westerns or maybe the war, World War II, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But after the moon landing, suddenly everybody was interested in space,
Mm-hmm.
and the space genre kind of took over for quite a while. Then we had, and that actually stayed for a really long time until we hit like kind of like the 80s, and we kind of went off to Never Neverland, and then we kind of returned back, but we ended up going more of the fantasy route with like the Tolkien stuff and then the Harry Potter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now I really think that we're moving back towards the back into this like cyberpunk genre that briefly showed up, very briefly, in the 80s and in the 70s. You could say like there's a couple of things that had an effect on it, and it's not really sci-fi. You can't really lump pure sci-fi with pure cyberpunk. It's two
Mm-hmm.
very different things.
Mm-hmm.
Because Star Trek is all about hope and future and just like the big entity of mankind working together for a common purpose, along with other species and whatnot. Whereas with cyberpunk, you really had this like move towards it really revolves around like the darker aspects of what you can get in that. And there were a few episodes during like especially TNG where I remember like they went to this one planet and it's like all these people were like basically just scavengers and scavenging like tech from their fallen partners whenever somebody died, and they incorporated a lot of like robotics
Mm-hmm.
and weapons into themselves. And I was like, wow, that's very dystopian, kind of crazy future like. And it was, and you kind of got this real. kind of a little bit of a sense. They touched on it very briefly, but then that got me interested in some of the other stuff that was kind of similar to that. That actually launched me into being really interested in Fallout, and ever since then I've been, I enjoy the dystopian type futures in literature and science fiction far more than I enjoy the the rest of the kind of general sci-fi futures. And I think that's cool because you see kind of where stuff could go. I would even include cyber in the cyberpunk genre. I would include maybe even Firefly in that a little bit, because I think that what you see in Firefly is a government that has become basically a corporation, and everybody who's too far out of the run are basically forgotten about and left to their own devices. So you have a little bit of that kind of a feeling there too. And overall it's I think that this is a genre that hopefully will end up coming back, because I think those are more important lessons than kind of what TNG kind of teaches us. I think, because TNG ultimately, that in their own storyline, the events of TNG basically were what led to this gigantic war that engulfed two halves of the entire galaxy. And I think that's that. You ever hear that the term weak hard times make hard people, and then hard people make good times, and then good times make weak people, and then weak people make hard times.
Yes. I know that one.
And it's this constant revolving thing. And I think it's more important to focus on what to do to avoid that, to keep things good, and to kind of keep a balance in things. So I don't know, kind of my kind of way I was looking at it the other day.
Yeah. I mean, now that you mentioned also sci-fi, it's like when you see all the previous sci-fi movies made in the previous 20 years, when you see all of that, it's now when you think of sci-fi and you look at those films, we have not all of the stuff, obviously. We don't have spaceships that can travel through galaxy, but a lot of stuff that they have and that is mentioned in sci-fi now. If you see the new films, it's oh, I have that. Oh, it's a phone. Oh, it's something we have. Previously it was oh my god, look at this device, no one has that. And when I also think about that, I think about how much sci-fi turned into cyberpunk because of the world we live in. Before it was oh, don't worry, when the future comes, we'll solve everything, we'll cure everything, it's gonna be nice and amazing with no wars. But now when you look at the world today, when you see how everything is going to shit, with every single country out there having problems, different problems, but real problems, and then you think about, okay, our future is not going to be like in sci-fi. Yeah, we are going to maybe explore space in the future. We are going to do this. We are going to do that. But it's not all going to be, dandy all fine. We're still gonna have wars. We're still gonna have that power struggle, because what usually Cyberpunk does well, it actually portrays people. It portrays people in positions that make that dystopian universe, as he also said in that quote. Sib. So yes, I'm glad that generally Cyberpunk is making a comeback, and I think when it comes to games, I'm certain that a lot of companies right now are looking at how this Cyberpunk is going to pass, and do you think that in the future we're gonna see more Cyberpunk games made by AAA companies, not just indie developers that are also making Cyberpunk titles right now, but also big companies that are going to go back into Cyberpunk as a subgenre and create more games if 2077 succeeds?
I think it would be foolish of them not to, because it's so popular. This is the most anticipated game that I can think of the last maybe 3-4 years. So I think they would be foolish not to even throw it out there and speculate or come to some sort of agreement on making these in the future.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more coming than we know about. You know me, I've always got my ear to the ground, and there's some very, very interesting projects that are being worked on that haven't been really talked about yet. we actually got some really cool news on multiple fronts, not just a single thing, but several of them in the past like 2-3 weeks here. We haven't gone public with anything yet, but we'll cover that. But all I can really say is that I think the RPG kind of realm is looking a lot better from both new entries and old entries that a lot of people have kind of forgotten about, or kind of felt like, it's at the, it's kind of at the end, so to speak. There's some really cool stuff on the horizon. So both from like I said, from indie developers as well as from like more renowned and more like settled companies, as well as some new players in the industry. We've got a big burst of real good RPGs coming. Greedfall, I think, was, for an entry from that company into this kind of a RPG game. I think they did a pretty good job. Of course, there was a lot of things they can improve on it, but it's not a AAA studio. It's a AA at the very best. It's probably just a single A, and they've done a remarkably good job. And I think what they'll have to offer in the future and expansions and stuff like that, we'll see this coming more and more. But I don't think everybody's tempted to do just more, high fantasy RPGs. I think more and more of them are looking at the Cyberpunk thing, going, we can make a pretty gritty, pretty cool future world here. And I think we're going to see that in both Cyberpunk as well as, hell, I think we're going to see a little bit of that in the vampire game, Masquerade, coming up soon too. So so that'll be really interesting to see, I think.
Yeah, it's not also like what I always tell to people, like Cyberpunk 2077 is just one vision of the cyberpunk future, of the cyberpunk subgenre. I'm really interested in other studios trying out something different version of that. So it doesn't have to be RPG, it can be anything, any other genre, but still it can be successful. But then you also think about people saying, oh, it's not 2077, it's not as good as CDPR. So I think they're going to set a really high bar here for the future games for other studios.
I want to quickly answer Kazar Clown has asked a question whether or not there's been any kind of note as to what the multiplayer will be like for Cyberpunk 2077. And the answer to that is it's coming and it'll be interesting. So that's all we can really say on it, because no, they have not given us an indication as to what exactly it'll be like. You know what? We know that battle royale ideas and whatnot, this is still fairly popular. One of the games that recently introduced a battle royale scenario that I was not expecting at all, and I haven't had a chance to really play it yet. So if you're in the comments, if you're listening to this and you enjoy this game, please hit me up in the Discord, because I really want to give this a go.
Which game?
And that is Civilization 6.
What?
What the hell?
They've just made a battle royale version of their game, and it's like whole new factions, whole new races or civilizations, everything, and it's amazing. But by looking at it on the camera and seeing kind of like what's going on, I have not had a chance yet to give it an honest go, but lordy, this is really cool. And I know, right? And I had to watch it a couple times, and then I went, oh my god, this is brilliant. This is really brilliant for a battle royale game. This is actually legitimately really brilliant. And each round only takes like, each game only takes like 15-20 minutes. So it's like, wow, this is really cool. So it goes to show that as far as multiplayer, you can really change the game. It doesn't have to be and I don't think everybody wants a battle royale in everything. We don't. But the point that I'm saying is that we want these developers to think outside of the box. I never would have thought that a battle royale game could have possibly fit into Civilization. Like, WTF was not going to work. However, it's looking really interesting, and I would like to see what other people have to offer in this genre, not in this genre, but in the scope of taking multiplayer and putting it outside the box, doing something different. I would love to see CDPR embrace that, not doing something that everybody else is doing, but doing something that not very many people expected it to be. So it'll be really interesting to see where that goes from here.
So you wouldn't be averse to CDPR having a battle royale in Cyberpunk?
No. I am very adverse to having a CDPR Cyberpunk 2077 battle royale mode. I think that's too much because it's not thinking outside the box. There's already a first-person FPS battle royale game. I want them to think outside the box. I want them to go as much outside the box as Civilization, including a battle royale game, which you go, what? How could that possibly work? I want them to come up with kind of the same mentality as to think outside the box, which to them is not a battle royale game. It's something different than a battle royale game. Go with something that we're not expecting. Go with I don't know, like a kind of like a. I have an idea. It's like, what if you had in the multiplayer game, you signed up for sessions that lasted like a week or something at a time, and you played as a gang leader, dictating their gang how to seize power in Night City, and you could like customize how your gang looks through progression of like doing each round. You get like unlocks and some cool stuff. And you can ultimately create whatever gang you wanted to, focusing in whatever types of powers, and you're basically creating a list of units, and it's essentially kind of like a dungeon keeper thing, where it's like you've got your base, you've got your other bases, you've got your territory, you've got to set up like patrol routes for your gang, you got to orchestrate them to like do whatever they need, and then you pick, what are you selling, like are you enslaving people, are you are you fighting back against that, and instead you're selling drugs. Is like what kind of nefarious things could your gang get up to in the mythological or in the fictitious Night City, because we definitely don't encourage any of those things in real life, and see what you could kind of do. That would be outside the box thinking. And you could play as an actual character, like you run around in first person or third person, whatever, and do whatever you want. But the main thing is keeping your gang, keeping your all your members alive, chasing after the power that's in Night City. So I think that is really interesting. You gotta be subtle enough not to draw the ire of the mega corporations, but fast enough to outpull your other competitors in the gang world. That would be something pretty cool. And again, you can't be there 24/7. The game is going to last for like a week or two. And you know
what that sounds like?
Yeah,
an elongated battle royale.
Okay, but you could say that about everything. I mean, technically, a death match is a shortened version of battle royale with a scoreboard, right?
Maybe, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, anything could sound like that. I am a fan of the limited time games, because if you're gonna do an MMO, then that's different, and that's gonna turn into like an actual MMO. I would like the ability to like take some time off, focus on a match or two, and then try to win it, and then have fun and then kind of move on. But they could also do like a League of Legends thing too. Hop in and go for the tactical long haul. That's possible too, but not something that I think would work. So
I don't know. It's like the what you mentioned sounds cool, but it kind of, when you were describing that and how the matches go and how everyone is like, okay, I have this, it reminds me of RP. It's like GTA RP. So
and that's what's really popular right now, because imagine if you and another gang team up against all of the other gangs, and you're like, hey, let's have a meeting here, and you listen to these two people having this meeting. It's like they're both putting on fake accents and whatever, and it's like, that would be funny. That would be hilarious to stream in most cases. Probably true. Just in other cases, but ultimately it's like do something that's outside the box thinking. Don't make a battle royale because everybody else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're like, seriously, I'd love to see a battle royale card game. Like, you know, those card, like Hearthstone type games. So like, imagine having like that in some kind. That would be the only time. Again, the only thing I'm interested in a battle royale game is if it's something from a genre that has never done it before. Period. I don't want another shooter battle royale game because that's boring and it's useless and it's like, why bother, right?
Yeah, true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I honestly I had enough with battle royales. It's been going on for way too long. If people enjoy it, I say go for it. I'm not one of those people that hates on battle royales in general. I play it sometimes, but generally I'm tired of it. So I think when Cyberpunk eventually comes out and when, you know, they go through everything and when they when they actually roll out the multiplayer, I don't know if Battle Royale is going to be popular then. You don't know no one knows what could be popular in the next 2 or 3 years because trends change and trends change really fast now. So, considering multiplayer, I kind of would like to see the elements of the RP because it actually fits in this game because they're aiming for that realism, so why the hell not? Maybe technically it takes a long time to make it, maybe logistically it's complicated because of servers, I don't know, I'm not well versed in that. I could expect some, I don't know, like PvP matches, something like that. It would be cool to have PvP, and
that has to incorporate the fluid class system though, because everybody can have such a unique kind of build. I think that would be so awesome to see these little deviations between people's characters, even if it's you guys are both hackers, but somebody has maybe one more point in strength or body, and it's the play style is that little micro, bit different.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, to basically have a chance for every class to express themselves in that PvP, because it all comes down to, okay, you can hack these doors, but ultimately it's a shooter, then it's not that fun. Not for a game like this. I mean, it can...
See, now, I would think, like, again, it's sort of like a different take on the way that battle royales are currently done. There is a one thing that I haven't seen a battle royale show up in, even though this was something that we actually pitched to a company a really long time ago, like a really, really, goodness sakes, back in 2003 or 4, I think. We pitched an idea to a game where we would take it was based in D&D. So you had you had limited spells, you had to sleep and rest, healing was somewhat limited, and we threw like 50 players into a giant maze dungeon and forced people to the center of the dungeon as each room by room got closed off. And in every room had at least 2 to 3 doors, sometimes 4 or more, headed to other rooms, and you could go through any of those doors, but in each of those rooms were either, sometimes it was an enemy, sometimes it was filled with traps, sometimes it was filled with items, sometimes it was filled with a cot that you could rest in and regain your abilities or regain some hit points. And you could go through there, and all of the players would be forced to go to the center, and then once they got to the center, they had to fight this big dragon, and if they lost, then they lost pretty much everything, and they didn't get anything out of it. But if they won, then they would get something. They would unlock something for their character, which was basically, we pitched the battle royale game good 10-15 years before it became popular.
Wow.
And we were told this idea was silly and nobody would ever go for it. Nobody would ever sign up into a queue with 50 other players where only one of them was going to get the treasure chest at the end. How ridiculous, how stupid do you think the gamers are? That's what we were told by a very big company. So,
oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's really hilarious looking back on it. But at the time it was technical constraints and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something kind of like that where based in based in a more cyberpunk tabletop version, the game suddenly changes quite significantly. It's like, yeah, sure, you got a gun, you might be able to take out the other person, but if you don't have a gun and you're not a physical build, then the guy who shows up in the room who doesn't have a gun either, but's got like, maxed out strength and agility, he's gonna wallop you, in comparison. So this is something that is very, you can look at and you can kind of go, oh, okay, well, I could maybe see this working, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, something like that could be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they the thing is, whenever I mention like Cyberpunk and multiplayer, everyone's like, oh my god, not the multiplayer. I remember before I found this old magazine when there was this column, someone was discussing if Fallout was ever going to go into multiplayer, and would it be amazing or not. And that was back in the day when Fallout 3 came out. And then I went onto forums and people were excited about that idea. Multiplayers were fun. And then with all this today's, loot boxes, blah 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 blah. There is this just a second. There is this resentment towards multiplayer, and it's like, no, if done by a proper company, I always mention this, it can be good. That's it.
So back when Fallout 3 came out, they were working on Fallout MMO, and it was under the flagship of Interplay, and under, I want to say Masthead Studios, but I think that's wrong. It was an M Studio something. They had been working on a multiplayer game, which was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely was one of the best MMOs I have ever gotten the ability to alpha in. And it never ever saw the light of day. It never ever even saw the light past the NDA alpha signups, because of what Bethesda did to the title. And I kind of look back on it and say, this is kind of poetic justice. Really is poetic justice that their first stab at a multiplayer Fallout crashed and burned because of the way that they had dealt with the whole Fallout MMO thing. They were convinced that the Fallout MMO was going to pull people away from the single player games, was going to have them invested in this other thing, and it's just a massive embarrassment, really.
Good old days when single player was, people didn't want to stop making single player games.
Right?
My God.
So overall, it's like you look at that now and you kind of can like go, wow, that is some real, like, weird how that happened, right? It's really bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens that way sometimes.
It does. But it's gonna keep the game alive. That and mods, like, definitely. But we also had I don't know if Neon, you have anything to say about this topic, or you, Sib, before we continue.
No, I think we can continue.
Yeah.
We had a question from chat.
Yeah, we had a question from Emir, and he says, maybe you can also talk about next corporate war around the immortality chip. Yeah, I'm that guy that told you. I don't know what this is. But anyway, next corporate war. Do you guys think that in 2077 at the end we might actually see a new war because of us?
I think it'd have to be at the end, because I feel like the main story is going to be about finding yourself more at a smaller scale. Then maybe that'll be part of the plot, kind of in the background going on. I don't know if you'll be overly involved with that, because you're kind of just a, street scum, cyberpunk edge runner.
Yeah, that's true.
You're kind of a nobody, so you're building yourself up. So maybe towards the end, like you said. But
maybe,
that would be a
maybe
cool
you become
concept.
something after 2077. So, okay, I have the contacts
True.
now.
Well,
if we
Mad
survive.
Queen, I know Mad Queen desperately would want me to mention the fact that, well, you got to remember that that the last corporate war was in some way, shape, or form started by what happened to Reg Bartmos. So that's something to remember, is that he was like the instigator of a lot of what proceeded, because he was kind of, because of what he did to the internet. So yeah, one person who's a low, who's not, at the top of a corporation can have that kind of an effect, because it definitely fed into the problems and the issues that were going on. It wasn't the root cause of anything in particular, but it definitely caused additional issues with that. So
yeah, there is this quote, like, anything can happen by the will of a single man, something like that. And there was also mention of Call of Duty in the chat. It's like similar in Call of Duty at Makarov, that actually kind of did a lot of shit to people in countries that ended up in the war and everything. And then when I think about Cyberpunk, when I think about The Witcher, how The Witcher kind of set up the story of the Wild Hunt in the first two. It's like, oh, Wild Hunt is somewhere around here, something's going on, it's gonna be with the return of Ciri, whatever. And then the third one, everything comes down. So maybe in Cyberpunk it's the same. The first one as an introduction, second one a little bit more complicated, and then in the third one all hell breaks loose.
I don't think they fleshed out the Wild Hunt very well in The Witcher 3, though. I hope the antagonist, or the main villains, are kind of more established and kind of understood, and narratively we kind of know a little bit more about them. The Wild Hunt were just kind of just there. We didn't really know too much about them, you know what I mean? So I hope that's not kind of the route they take with that.
Yeah, because I think it has to do something with because when they started The Witcher and they finished the first one, they didn't know if they're ever gonna make the second or the third game. They didn't know it was gonna be that big. So maybe the idea of Wild Hunt coming back came out later, because spoilers quickly, at the end of The Witcher 1 there is some connection with the Wild Hunt. Not too much. It's not that much as it is. But yeah, I do agree with you. Avala, not Avala, was it Avala or Eredin? Sorry, Eredin. He was cool, but yeah, he should have had more presence in a way, to see his side.
Boss fight was horribly underwhelming as well.
Yeah, I mean,
gameplay wise.
Yeah, with portals in the end, that was kind of cool, but it was, just when you think about it, a bit of a regular fight. But yeah. So I would love to see all hell breaks loose in the a third edition of Cyberpunk. I don't know their ideas and plans. I know this. Yeah.
I don't think we will see them ruin the Cyberpunk world as far as corporations and the status quo goes yet. They may ruin a city or two, but I don't think that they'll turn it all over, because that really is going to end up limiting
the ideas.
The future franchise of the thing is the next game. It's kind of going to be what happened to the Far Cry thing, right? The Far Cry game comes out, and then the next one, the little standalone expansion they got, it's post-apocalyptic. People are like, I don't sign up to play a post-apocalyptic game. This is supposed to be a kind of a modern day shooter thing, not one that's trying to emulate either Borderlands or Fallout. So and that's what if they did do another corporate war, then it's either going to be big corporate war, a literal war between corporations, or it's going to be revolving around the kind of a post-apocalyptic world. And I don't think they'll do that. I think they're going to want to try and keep it as controlled as they possibly can. So,
but it would kind of make sense, because we have the immortality chip, right? So if there's a power struggle over that kind of technology, that's definitely basis for a big corporate war of some sort. I don't think they're just gonna let that go lightly, right? That's immortality.
I have when I think from the corporation side, that immortality chip has to be really goddamn important for all of them to go into the war again, just after they finished rebuilding. Because I don't think going the second they went with 3 times already.
Don't you think the key to immortality is worth a war?
A war?
I would say so.
In their cases, yeah. In their eyes, definitely yes. But it would kind of be a repeat. The war already happened. You had a nuke, and then we rebuilt in Red. Then we are also still rebuilding in 2077 in a way. So I don't know. There is possibility,
maybe a more kind of operation, because the net is, if you release the AIs and throw that whole mix into it, then you have to, you know, kind of traverse the net as well. So
I just wish I can import my character in the later games. That's what I really wish for. I mean that we don't know the end of the game. We have no knowledge of that, but it would be
yeah,
cool.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think that has to be seamless, even with multiplayer. If you can import your
decisions,
your character into multiplayer, it has to be kind of seamless, right? I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah. It's like all these decisions, all these they presented so many endings. Yeah, good luck importing that into the next game. Everyone had a different thing.
That's true. Yeah.
But they would probably focus around big
things.
You'll
get a clean slate, probably.
It is really truly difficult to get multiple endings in properly. Yeah. At least for now. There is some tech being worked on that would take the approach of kind of like taking a game like Dragon Age Origins, where it's like, not only do you have, you know, a different routes that you can go into the game and get different endings in the game, you also have different characters that you can play as the main protagonist from different backgrounds. And the other possible protagonists either died or had something terrible happen to them. And it's like,
oh my god.
Oh, all of the
so
different
many ways
things.
you can break this game.
My god, like, yes.
It's.
I hope they've done their due diligence on their testing, because there's so many potential paths. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, is every character killable? Do we know that?
What do you mean killable? Like
every
enemies?
Character? Yeah, every NPC, every character, everyone.
No.
Okay,
not important NPCs.
Yeah,
and not kids.
Yeah.
So
they could technically just mention all the big decisions that would they draw from the narrative of the previous game.
That's a good point.
So maybe
I think that's basically the way that they went with the Fallout series. The Fallout series kind of started this whole like concept of like multiple like canon endings, but then the next game basically said, okay, so we understand that you probably picked Natalia instead of the male character in Fallout 1, but if you did, that's not canon as far as like what the next game is at. You know, and I thought that was always kind of like, because when my brother was playing it, he was like, yeah, cool, great, because that was his character. His character was the default character. In fact, his playthrough in Fallout 1 was basically exact for what happened in the in Fallout when Fallout 2 came out, and they put out this little journal that told the story of what happened in the first one, as far as like what was canon, and even where like he lost the dog on the same thing. He had one of his other characters die to the exact same way that they described the character dying in the same city. And he's like, and I'm like, whoa. He's like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how my ending was. It's like, whoa, what was your ending? Well, first of all, it wasn't a guy, it was a chick, and then, banged pretty much everybody he could, and that's life for you. So yeah, so the different endings are they're a monster to deal with, and then some people get really upset that it's like, where's my exact ending? It's like, you remember the hubbub about people who chose to romance the brain eating Asari in the second game for Mass Effect 2, and they were expecting to load up into Mass Effect 3 with Shepard being dead. It's like, yeah, well, you load up the game with Shepard being dead, and they were actually kind of joking about this, and later on I suggested, it was like, no, you guys really should have done this. You should have had it so that you could import the save, and all you would have gotten was just the Reapers descending on Earth, killing everybody, and then it's like game over.
Roll the credits.
It's like, you want a third game with no Shepard? There you go. There's your third game with no Shepard. Dumbasses.
Oh yeah. I mean, damn, games are definitely moving forward with the storytelling, man. It's like over a couple of games. Like before I saw a game moving over a trilogy, I was like, oh damn. I remember when I finished Gothic 1 back in the day, I was like, damn, I wish there was a second game. Keep in mind, I was a kid back in the day and we had no internet. And I go to the store and see Gothic 2, I'm like, oh my god, when did this came out? So like, what the hell? Can I play
Mind
this?
blown.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And then the story continued. I was like, okay. And in a third one, the story continues. So I always, if there's gonna be a trilogy, I always like to play with the same character with the continuation of the story,
Oh yeah,
rather than
absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not actually like that. Like, no, you must play with the same protagonist every time. But the tech and the ability to like add that to games is just not there yet. It's coming. It's honestly coming, but it's not quite there yet. So, yeah.
I mean, they're still doing a lot with this game. Like even the side quests will open up different, paths with the main story and kind of vice versa. That's so many different things that they have to go through and analyze and test and implement. Jesus Christ.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, the game has a lot of things. Someone actually, there was this joke on Discord. Someone like said, "Oh, Cyberpunk has everything that was ever in a game." It's like someone just said, "No third person."
It was Sib. It's definitely Sib on incognito on his other Discord.
It's talking. Oh, third person.
Those
I mean,
bastards.
yeah. We also had a question about gameplay. When is the next gameplay coming out? Man, you just got 15 minutes. Like, what do you expect? It's like,
I don't think there will be, to be honest. There might
yeah,
be a trailer.
trailers.
I am honestly expecting something a little closer to I'm expecting something a little bit closer to Christmas-ish, in and around the holiday season, just in general. So basically, the entire month of December.
Yeah. A new CGI?
I am expecting something. Not. I don't think we'll get a new CGI. I think we'll get something else.
Oh yeah, the mobile game, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's I like for both Cyberpunk, for both the main game and some side stuff. They're not going to be completely silent from now until April. They're going to want to continue the marketing campaign.
The hype
marketing
train.
campaign. Yeah, the hype train is going to keep building. We will have some quietness here for anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. Then we're going to get some more stuff. And like I said, they've been from the very beginning. It's been drip, and it's going to start to become a little bit more of a drip. It's going to start becoming more and 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 more. So.
Oh well, I'm definitely looking forward to more stuff. It's like we have to hold out until April. God damn it.
I'm wondering what this
I
app
don't
is
think they're
about.
going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this mobile game. It's Cyberpunk related, correct? Or did they say it's different? I forget now. There's so much info.
We have a slight sneaking suspicion, but again, there's no guarantee on this one yet because we know that they've been working on multiple things and they've been working on multiple projects, and that not every project that they've been working on has necessarily
gone through.
Is necessarily tied to one thing or the other. Eventually we will get all of it, of course, but for the time being it's kind of like keep your eyes open and just wait and see. So
yeah, it's like for everyone asking about someone just said there is a mobile game coming out. We have a hunch that a new mobile game might come because CD Projekt actually acquired, what was the good name of the company? Spocko, yes. They are a mobile game developers, so it's like it's not Gwent because Gwent is actually made by the team in Warsaw, I think. So Spocko is working on something. We don't know what it is. We suspect it's Cyberpunk related. It kind of makes sense that they go with Cyberpunk because they have Gwent, which is coming out on mobile. So now they have this. What it's gonna be, we don't know. It could be anything from a 2D platformer to, I don't know, hacking stuff.
What has Spocko made in the past? I know it's a Polish company, but
I have no clue.
Have they made anything?
I don't know if they were a startup or something.
They've been on Twitter since January 2010, so they're not a new company.
Their website doesn't have any previous projects. I actually want to know who's working in this company. Their past can tell us
hiring.
Yeah.
They're hiring a quest designer, game developer, 3D animator.
Yeah.
Quest
2D
designer.
artist, everything. Yeah, quest designer. Okay.
Maybe they're doing some sort of backstory for Cyberpunk 2020 to get you caught up to speed.
I mean, it says creating the storyline because they're looking for the quest, yeah. From the initial idea to implementation in Unity 3D engine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Unity means that it's not going to be like a full, like, 3D game.
Yeah.
Possibly. It's going to be something more UI central, or not an open world, not an open run around world.
Yeah.
Although you can still have those, but yeah, it might be different. It might be interesting to get like a kind of like a Diablo-esque type, or my personal favorite. I was never a Diablo fan, hardcore. Instead, I really loved the Crusader. If Crusader No Remorse, Crusader No Regret. If you know those games, give me a shout out. Feel the love, bro, of the Master Chief before it was the actual Master Chief. So,
what do you guys think about a character creator kind of mobile app or website? I asked my community this, and they seem to kind of like that idea.
I would
customize your character.
I would have no problems with that. Then, but yeah, if we just create a character and just import it, I don't know. Like, honestly, that's something I can also do in game when I log in. It's kind of this tradition for me. When I enter an RPG, I like to spend a lot of time in character creation, then put on a helmet. I know.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they do release it, I wouldn't mind it.
It wouldn't be overly spoilery. That's.
I mean,
also another big reason.
You just see the body anyway. You just maybe see the jacket, the pants, and that's about it. You're not gonna be able to select clothing, so in a way that there's not gonna be a lot of spoilers there, except character creation. But we already know how it's going to look like from the 15-minute demo. We know some aspects of it. I don't know. I would rather see a mobile game than a character creation, but if they released it, I have no problems with it. And someone also said like that it's needless for CD Projekt to spend resources on that. I mean, it's part of a marketing, honestly. It all comes down to marketing. So yeah.
You get attached to your character, then you're more inclined to buy the game to see your character in the game. It's not for the hardcore fans, it's more for the people kind of on the fence. They have the option to create their character. They're going to feel more of an attachment, more ties towards seeing what that character goes through in the game. It's just a small thought. It's a side thing. It's not a huge, it's not a huge mobile game or whatever that Spocko's working on. But
it would be also cool to have a mobile game where you're just a fixer and you're just sending people on missions, like the card game which is coming out. Maybe something with that. I don't know.
That would be cool too.
Yeah, I saw that card idea. I was like, this would be cool as a mobile game. Oh wait, Spocko. I honestly, no one knows anything. People assume that we know everything that is going on with the game. We have no clue.
We really don't know that much.
We know as much as you do. We do research, but I mean, at least for me, I don't have I don't get any inside information. I have nothing regarding that. So whenever you guys learn something, we kind of also learn it as well.
Sometimes we learn new stuff when we have guests on the podcast and they unveil new stuff, but we're learning at the same time you guys are. So
yeah. So in a way, that's how it goes with Cyberpunk. So it's I had someone telling me oh, don't screw with us. You saw 50 minutes of that gameplay. Where? Where? I wish I did.
Take me back.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, by the way, let's see if there's any questions. I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about something else. I know there has been a lack of news, man. It's
there's nothing going on.
It's usually now people talk a lot around mods. It's what's it gonna be? Someone actually also asked me what's mods are gonna be in multiplayer. I don't think we're gonna have mods in multiplayer. It doesn't go like that. I don't know how well integration. I mean, mods user created mods to be
No. So right now in Fallout 76, even though they're insisting that you're not allowed to use mods, there's already a ton of mods.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They don't ban.
Well, they will if they find out directly, or if it's a game breaking bug. It's obviously something that's going to raise a lot of red flags, but it's it's not the only game that has a huge online component that has not that has not been that has had a significant amount of user created mods for a very long time. In fact, World of Warcraft has had a huge modding community for like ever since vanilla, constantly, and they have been doing this for ages and ages and ages. So the community has been very, very, very keen on creating content for that game. It's mostly one-sided stuff, and yes, there are some cheats from time to time, but they don't last very long. Whereas the user-created content is typically what lasts and what gets people going. So,
my God.
So yeah.
But by the way, considering Fallout 76, did someone really go into developer room like you could in previous games? Was that really enabled in multiplayer?
Go into what? Sorry.
The developer room that Bethesda usually has. Like you type in a console, it takes you to a room that has all the items in the game. I think I read somewhere that some user went into that.
Sure.
My God, that was. But anyway, to go back to Cyberpunk, yes, mods and multiplayer can definitely save that game. And yeah, I don't know. Think we're not gonna have a long podcast tonight, guys. There has been this lack of news. Hopefully next week we're gonna have something. I don't know if you guys have any last questions, anything you want to say.
Yeah, unfortunately there's not a ton of news, and we'd just be, recycling topics we've talked in the past about that we've recycled a bunch already. So it's kind of pointless.
True. Just to answer Simon, 2 questions, Randall. What's your second question? Anyway, what's with the long YouTube break from Meal? I was on vacation, needed some time off. I was having some mental issues, so I just had to, just exhaustion, and I didn't want, stress, and I was like, took a break, but now I'm back, ready to work. So yeah. So I don't know. This could be it for this podcast. I don't know if you want to add anything for the end, Sib.
Well, I mean, throw us some more questions, and we'll see if we can get around to it.
Yeah.
But basically, what we're like right now, we have a little bit of a lull. We're expected to see past this lull pretty shortly. I suspect we'll see something by this time next week, at the very, very least. Right now, there's a couple articles up that are basically just rehashes of previous content, previous works. So I won't worry too much over that kind of stuff.
So when you explore to find new stuff to make a video, it's like I see a really juicy title of an article. I'm like, oh my God, did they reveal something? And then it's just same stuff, man. But we did have a question from a Gorillas fan. CDPR debunked the claim that all cutscenes were going to be first person. Doesn't that mean that some special extra probably cutscenes are not going to be first person? What do you guys think about that?
There will be a mix. Like it's primarily, I think we're going to see more of that kind of like in the I think what they did is the more they got into it, the more they kind of doubled down on it. Because the style or something was what they were looking for, and the less and less they did from that kind of a perspective. And I get it. I'm probably one of the more vocal people that are against the concept and is heavily annoyed by the constant fangirling and fanboying over, oh look, it's the best choice there is. It's like okay, whatever. But no, overall it's like they moved in that direction, and they're going to try and keep it up everything with it. And they think that it's going to be smoother, and sure, it's like the sex scenes thing might be, I mean, geez, that's going to be a real can of worms for some parents. They're, they don't read, period, or whatever, and they show up and they're like, oh yeah, go ahead son, play this game. and then they walk in and you see somebody like doing oral sex from a first person view. It's like I cannot wait for the insanity that will
will roll out.
involve
Yeah.
that stuff.
Oh my god.
Somehow I feel like that won't be a thing. I don't know why.
Which part?
First person
sex scenes. I mean, I hope not.
I hope the split. I hope the split is like 70-30, like first person to third person, because I think if it was too much, if it was like 90-10, I think that would take away from the game. That's kind of the one thing that I don't almost 100% agree with so far. I was okay with the third person overall, or the first person perspective overall, but I think not having those third person cutscenes kind of takes away some of the, I don't know.
I suspect that we're gonna get a lot of like fade outs during sex. That's what I was originally was anticipating, is that there was just gonna be some fade outs, or that there's just gonna be like, a camera panning while the two are in the bed, and you don't really see anything in particular. Because the minute, I mean, seriously, the minute you say, okay, we're going this way, I mean, again, full can of worms there. That
I mean, it's not Subverse. It's not like a
not
like
in
an
that sense.
only game.
Yeah.
Subverse or Wildlife, both games are doing really, really well right now. Just Wildlife, yeah. I just played the latest build of that, and I gotta say that Wildlife is coming along. Like, it's really, really coming along. If you're interested in games that are not safe for work, check that one out, because they're motoring right along. I don't think there's a playable build of Subverse yet, but Wildlife has got some. They've got some serious cred that they're building there. So I guess that's why they're making like 60,000 on Patreon every month.
My God. I don't know. Like, when it comes to cutscenes, I honestly want to see third person like cutscenes, mostly because of cinematics. I'm really into that. Like, if I could somehow make it work in Cyberpunk to animate people as they go, like people do it in GTA and stuff, it's like, yeah, I would make them. So I would be interested to see some cutscenes in the game, important cutscenes that are not going to be from first person, but rather, this entire cinematic kind of a montage that goes on.
Makes your viewing experience like more diverse too.
Yeah,
I think you want to break those moments up a little bit, right? By seeing things from different perspectives. Being first person all the time, I feel like narratively, okay, that's cool for immersion, but it would maybe get boring.
Yeah, but we had that in the first gameplay, the 50-minute one, when they exit the elevator. Is that one? I mean, we do see how they might potentially look like. So I don't know. First person only cutscenes. I don't know. I maybe throw in a couple of those cinematics and we'll be fine.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any more questions from the chat. As hopeful writer 14, I feel like I want at least a little bit of cinematics, in the game. So I don't think FPP is gonna bother me, but it's not a great thing in my eyes. Yeah, I mean, this discussion of first person, third person can go on forever.
It's kind of something you have to experience before you
really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm holding, like, ultimately I'm gonna hold pure judgment and until like then it's like they've made it clear that they really, really think that this is the absolute best thing that they can do. So I'm like, okay, show us what you got then. But if so if the game comes out and there's it's smooth and good everywhere, I'm gonna give it a good rating. I'm gonna definitely encourage people to get it. But if the one thing that just seems to be holding it back is the camera angles all the time, and you feel that it's forced, of course I'm gonna tear into that and probably dance because it was right, and you love being right? So probably a little bit of that, but I still think that mods are gonna fix it. I'm still anticipating that quite quickly to come out. I'm not the only person who thinks this way. There's been a lot of people. There's already people organizing it. There's already a couple of people that are on the modding forums over at the Nexus going, okay, so we know that the engine has changed quite significantly. How can we add a third person camera, or how can we improve the first person camera? Because you got to remember that's some of the biggest mods for Skyrim is camera modding. There's two different types. There's more immersive first person, so a first person camera where the camera is not localized inside the an invisible head of the character. It's actually localized within the character's eyes, and if you actually see in some of them, like if you have hair that hangs down in front, you're actually seeing that hair, like the bangs hanging down in front of you. If you have a ponytail and it kind of can whip around you quite a bit as you're moving in circles or whatever, you're going to see that ponytail like constantly whip around you. You don't see that in the normal first person. If you're like, in some of these mods, you can't just turn around and look behind you immediately. You can't do a 180. You actually have to turn your character's body in order to do a 180. You can look far to the right or far to the left, but you can't whirl around in place, because you can't do that. You have to make your head's not attached to a swivel, for crying out loud. You actually have to like turn your physical body. And then the other thing in third person that they do is they do like there's a new mod out that incorporates like cinematic cuts and then camera drag to create a far more cinematic experience when you're doing the first person, and it actually incorporates the kill moves into something that you can actually like sit down and like it's really, really cool to watch, because and you feel a lot better when you're doing the combat, because you're actually getting these like side strikes in and these big whirlwinds in, and it actually looks really, really good, and it makes you feel really good, and the camera is like rotating slowly and doing some pretty cool stuff with your character. And all of those things are vast improvements over the basic vanilla version. And I think that just generally speaking, there was an article out today about the Outer Worlds and how the Outer Worlds has really terrible faces. And one of a very famous game dev came out and said, well, look, it's just part of the regular engine. There's nothing inherently bad with this, yada yada yada. And I pointed out, I'm like, well, you do realize that, because his point is that the Fallout engine slash like earlier basic versions of the Unreal Engine, it's like you don't really get that very much cool facial features with it. And I'm like, clearly you haven't gone over to the Nexus, because there's some mods that I can throw on that will make my characters look in the vanilla old version, not the special edition, the old version of Skyrim will make them look better than any of the characters that you have in games coming out today. True. And it's that there's that much of a difference. So honestly, I don't understand why some of these developers don't hire modders to come in and at least work on like a specific thing. It's like in a lot of companies you have Joey, who works on model texturing for horses, and he excels at that, but then he's also doing faces for humans, and no wonder the faces for humans start to look a little bit like horses. Just saying, there's some of that's happened in the past, and it's really kind of gross and disturbing, and you look at that and you go, oh well, I mean, geez, some modders were able to create some really good stuff here. So why don't they hire them just on a contractual basis? Because I think that makes a whole lot more sense. Like it really, really does. It's like, if you're making a game that's a third person game and you really want to like make your character creator like just baller, contact Caliente and get her to make your textures for your bodies. For the love of God, do not take, and now BioWare is especially bad at this. So when the Old Republic came out, the MMO, all they had done to make the female bodies is they took a male body and they basically just reformed it. Oh my God. The female bodies were really bad. I don't know if they've ever improved, but in the early alpha it was exceptionally bad. It was like, basically it's like you knew that this model was originally the male model with huge, outrageously large shoulders and all this kind of stuff, and it was just morphed by somebody in a morphing studio is just morphing it down until it looked kind of like a woman. They didn't build that mesh and that textures from scratch. They took the existing one for the male model and then kind of repurposed it into the female one, and it's like you could tell that it was just it was gross a little bit, and there were a lot of people who noticed it, and a lot of people complained about it because it's like I don't want to play as like a gross, ugly body morph ex guy. Like it's weird to have this thing. It's like build it from scratch, make it something that is unique to that character, not a morphed model. And it's like taking a lump of clay that was previously one statue, and without completely reforming the clay, just trying to push it into form another thing. It's like it could sometimes work, but it doesn't give the actual body justice you want to actually, from a technical. This is all technical perspective stuff. This has nothing to do with anything other than the technical process of creating meshes and textures within a video game engine. No other connotation here. So just to get that, make sure that's quite clear. It's just not a good thing to try and reform things. Just start from scratch and build it from scratch.
I agree.
And then armor you can take and you can kind of reform that and map that over skins. And that's what Caliente has done with the Skyrim stuff, and why her skins are absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, breathtaking, and incredibly well put together. And the tools and the mods that she's made it so that you can just take any outfit, literally any outfit, even from different games, port them into a simple program and go click, 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 and 15 minutes later you have an outfit that works in Skyrim. It's like, good Lord, where is the studios whose main job it is? And the thing is that they can't. They're like, oh sure, we could hire somebody who's specially skilled in just doing that one thing, or we could hire somebody who's kind of good at like a lot of different things, and therefore we get technically more work out of them.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm like, this is where in the future of game development is in like contracting people to do things that they are exceptionally skilled at, and getting that in, because that just makes so much more sense.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, there's been a number of times where modders saved the games, where modders made patches for games. So I know that, you know, the to everyone else, the modder who remastered the Witcher 1 intro into the Witcher 3 is now working for CD Projekt. So that's a great thing, especially because they're taking people from the modding community that are skilled. Obviously, it takes a while to do that, to do what he did, to actually work in the studio and to work on their next games. And he's also a fan, so why not?
They seem to do that a lot, actually.
True.
Philip Weber was a former modder.
Really?
Yeah, he won a Witcher 2 modding competition, and now he's the level designer, I believe.
Yeah. So a lot of modders should be actually hired by these companies. They can sometimes really improve the game. We also had a question from the Netrunner. They once said they will top Priscilla's concert for sure from The Witcher 3. What do you think will happen? Will Johnny Silverhand perform on stage? I think so, in a way. Would be a cool
Can't
thing.
really think of anything else other than a samurai concert.
That would be really cool, and again, something for the future of like games and like just gaming period and tech and whatnot. Is like, it's like, you know, the real you know, the real person might not be able to play the instrument like that, but you just take a digital render and then like just copy them over into somebody who is playing for real, and it's like suddenly you could literally have that. We could literally see Keanu Reeves playing, you know, an amazing rock single on stage, jumping around with a robotic arm. It's like, we might actually see that someday. I doubt it for this particular one, but I mean, that would still be just baller, right?
True. I don't know.
I'm all up for the concert. I'm all up for the digital.
I hope it's
concert.
like a rave. That'd be awesome.
A rave.
You just go there, buy overpriced drinks. Have a
You know, the last time I went to a rave, it was really good until they started to pour blood from the sprinkler system.
Is that a Blade reference?
that is a Blade reference. But yeah.
We also had another question from Ali again. For cards, will card selection affect story and gameplay? Say a mission requires a 4-seater car to escort someone, but you get a bike instead. Nah, I don't think so. I think they will offer us a chance to get a car or something like that. Because that will break the mission too much.
They said some missions will have flying vehicles, though. That's the only time you're going to be able to not pilot them, but maybe be a passenger in them. So there might be mission-specific vehicles like that. But other than that, I don't think so.
Revan Kist also said, but that's he was referring to the mods. But that's a technology difference. You can't compare, let's say, Skyrim, which is from 2011, and make a mod that came in 2019 that took forever to make.
A lot of them don't take forever to make. It takes a new look at this kind of stuff. So yes, you're right in that it's like, well, isn't that unfair to look at something that was made today? Considering that there's so many more tools and access points and all that kind of stuff. That is for the most part true, and some mods do take a really, really long time to perfect and get going. But the answer to that is that what we see is we see more and more mods coming every day. If you go back to when Skyrim came out originally, you don't have the talent pool constantly creating mods. You had a much smaller pool of people making mods than you do today. So we will end up getting something a lot faster. I think that's what he's getting at, right?
Yeah.
So we will get that a significant amount faster. So.
And also, yeah, it's for some mods it takes longer time to make them, but yeah, it just comes down to what mod you want to create and how much effort you're willing to put into that mod. A simple armor mod or a simple face mod can take a long time if you actually want to make it good.
Yeah, to make it really, really good. But there's still a lot of great mods that I use on Skyrim that were created in the first 2 years that haven't gone through very much updates, or where somebody set about to work on it. Worked on it for 2 weeks, put it out, and it's fine, and it's required little to no updates since then. So these are scenarios where it's like what we're seeing now. We are going to see more of this later on down the road, where we're going to see more and more content for games that are recently out, because the general modding community is a lot bigger and a lot better already. Subnew W. I just want to make this really, really clear. I'm not up for forced perspective in either case. I would prefer a choice, just being naturally present in the game. So I don't think it's right to force anybody to see one particular thing, because again, it's like, if you're wanting to create an immersive experience, don't you dare tell me how I immerse myself in a game. This just come on, that it's so arrogant to assume that any one particular person knows exactly how to immerse everybody into a game. It's like the very concept is kind of stupid. So no.
Yeah.
Not yeah.
But yeah, there will be mods definitely, and you saw the thing is, when I saw V on that Yaiba and it was in third person, it looked kind of cool. Not gonna lie, look kind of cool. I mean, I could even imagine my head just being off the bike and actually having a person. But I don't mind the first person perspective, honestly. But there are different reasons why people don't enjoy only first person. Some people want to see third person. Some people are suffering from motion sickness. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So yeah, yeah.
And you kind of need that third person when you're driving, because first person only can be a absolute nightmare.
Can be difficult, especially if you don't play simulations, if you don't play those from inside a car kind of a racing games, it can be really hard. So yeah, I like first person cars, but I don't use it that much, because for me, if I'm in a car and I'm in a game and I'm in the first person perspective, I see everything. I kind of want to have the everything, the gas, the brake, everything, the steering wheel in front of me. That would be immersive. But third person for vehicles, definitely yes, and I'm glad they actually included that. So they, in a way, they are considering that some elements cannot be done in first person only. It wouldn't satisfy people.
You know what I will throw out is that there was a test done a few years ago to identify whether or not. So there was a couple. So one that I could point to is like, I think Rooster Teeth did an immersion episode where they stuck a camera on a large like flagpole off the back of a car and gave a person basically like third person driving experience, and it actually turned out to be not as bad as what people were immediately thinking. And then there's been a couple other groups that have been running some tests to see like, so is third person driving actually safer than first person driving? Third person driving in real life is a lot safer and a lot better than first person driving in real life. So that's very interesting if you like thought experiments. That's really, really interesting that they're slowly starting to kind of discover this. So where it'll go from here is nowhere, because eventually the robots will be driving all of our cars.
Yeah, the future is coming. Also,
the future is coming, which I might say I find the concept of like just driving cars is kind of silly, because it's like, wouldn't like steering wheel? You don't understand when they push cars and stuff like this and the tech for driving, eventually when they push this stuff to a certain point, you will go to buy a car or to like get into an automated taxi service. There is no steering wheel in the entire car, period. There is nothing there. This is kind of like the automated like hover vehicles or flight vehicles that they're starting to work on for Japan. So they're working on these things where it's like you go to the top of a building, you're at the top of one building, you go in, you get in this vehicle, and it flies you over to whatever other building in the Tokyo vicinity that you want to go to.
My God.
There is no control mechanism within the vehicle. The vehicle is entirely driven by software. There is nothing you can do to turn the vehicle to go any different direction.
Is there an eject button and a parachute that comes?
There is no eject button. There is no parachute. It's you get in it, it flies you to your destination and drops you off.
Yeah, I would wait for final release on that one.
Coffin to me.
Yes, yeah, you wait for final release.
I wouldn't enroll in beta.
But this is the future. This is the future of basically travel and vehicles. It's like eventually only a handful of vehicles will come with a steering wheel, and you will have to have a special license in order. I'm saying like 30-40 years down the road. Eventually this will be pretty standard. Now out in like the boonies or like in dirt roads and stuff like that, yeah, you might still find some people driving like regular old cars with steering wheels and stuff, but eventually it's all going to be like completely robot controlled. So
oh my God, I'm one of those people that I love the advancements of technology, but that stuff like self-driving cars in this traffic and with today's drivers, that needs to be updated as hell. That needs to be polished, man.
Well, I mean, right now they have millions of self-driving cars on the roads, and there's one accident and there was one fatality in the last 2 years.
Oh,
or 3 years, I think.
Did you see that dude who was sleeping at the wheel of a Tesla? There was like a big news report about it, and it had like they're trying to implement like better safety standards for like their customers.
Don't fall asleep.
Just taking a nap. He's like full on like laying back, just chilling.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, and it's weird to say it, but I actually trust the computer to drive better than the human. I really do. Like so yesterday we're driving home, and there's 3 lanes. In the right lane is a parking lane, so cars are parked in the right lane, in the far right lane, because that's what that lane is there for. Some guy tried to like pass us like more than once by pulling into that lane and then trying to pass us and to cut us off before they ran into the vehicle in front of them, like 60 meters down the road. It's like this happened multiple times with this idiot.
Was this
Like
downtown
what?
somewhere?
Oh yeah, this was in a downtown place. It's like the guy couldn't possibly be afforded the 5 minutes of like, dude, get your head out of your butt, because like, and that's
What
and
rage.
that's the way life is. So it's all kinds of crazy. So, but yeah, no, I seriously trust computers way more than I trust people.
My God.
That's just because I am one. So,
An android working with us. We also have another question from Emir. What do you think about one quest being absolute crazy? What's that about? Was that about the quest from the 50-minute demo? Did they talk about something?
No, they just mentioned that one of the side quests, I
Yeah.
think it was an interview with Philip Weber, I think.
Yeah.
He said, sorry, it wasn't Philip Weber, it was someone else. Chat will remind me. But he said one of the side quests was quote unquote absolute craziness, and that we're gonna know it when we see it, when we play it.
LSD.
And yeah, it's probably gonna be some
Bozos
acid trip or something.
confirmed.
What confirmed?
Bozos, the
Bozos.
clown gang.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. They're hinting us already, god damn it. Creating paranoia again, god damn it. There was also
Seriously. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, continue.
Like this brings me back to my multiplayer idea. Is like, how fun would it be to control a bozo gang in the city of Night City? Like, seriously, it's like, all right, guys, today we're gonna do some great stuff. You want us to sell some drugs? It's like, no, we're not selling drugs. Today we're gonna pie people. Oh, is there gonna be a bomb in those pies? No, what are you talking about? Of course not. It's like, okay, are we, like, what are we gonna do? You're just pieing people. Oh, okay, all right. Next day, okay. Now today, you're putting inflated ducks everywhere. Are there bombs in the inflated? No, there's no bombs in the just inflated ducks. All right, cool. Okay. Next day. All right. Now today, everybody thinks that we're just a bunch of jokers. So now we go out and assassinate every other leader, every other gang.
Clown School Simulator 2077.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
seriously.
Oh my god, I can just
The things-
imagine
the
RP.
things you could do, right?
I can just imagine the RP from this perspective. Just imagine that one guy, he's stopping at red lights, he's driving slowly, following everything, and you just have like 5 bozos throwing pie on him.
That actually sounds pretty fun, going around pieing people. I would enjoy that from a gameplay perspective as well. That just sounds like button mashing and goodness.
Oh my god.
And it's like, especially if you do it on, like, say they set up like servers, right? You're on a server with tons of people, and you're the local bozo, and you just pie people every day, and everybody's like, oh, okay, here comes Joey again. He's gonna come and pie us again. Oh yay! But this time the pie has got like a grenade in it. It's like.
You never know. You never know.
You never know. And that's the fun of the bozos. That's the fun of the seriously. Mike Pondsmith, brilliant idea when he created the bozos. It's like absolutely hilarious. I think it's
Pretty sure
like
his wife created it.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, his wife.
Well, that would explain it. Yeah, that would explain it.
My god, but it's so many things you can just talk about. And it's like, but I would love the bozos. I would love the bozos quest. I would love to interact with them as much as we can interact with those guys. Imagine that. Oh my god.
Bozo life path. That'd be
Oh
awesome.
my god. It's like you just carry the pie. It's like, oh, I'm the main enemy of 2077. I'm pie in your face. Broken the game.
There's a mod for that coming for sure.
Oh,
Now that we
yeah, oh,
mentioned
yeah,
it,
oh, yeah,
someone's
yeah.
gonna latch onto that.
You put on a mod a pie item in the game. If it's not included already, it's like, god damn it. This is what Cyberpunk 2077 is now.
Be the best.
My god.
Well, I mean, did you, like, seriously, one of the most popular mods for Skyrim is Thomas the Tank that replaces dragons. It's
oh
like,
god, yeah.
who even grew up with Thomas the Tank? I think I had maybe one book when I was a kid that had that character. And I know there was like later on there was like an animation or whatever, so I guess it became a little bit more prevalent. But like seriously, why would that be one of the most like top mods? I don't understand. It makes no sense.
There needs
But
to be a SpongeBob mod where where the Krusty Krab is like a mega
Oh
corporation,
my god.
and like you get to play as SpongeBob, but like SpongeBob's V, and they're trying to fight against the oppression of Mr. Krabs, and Jackie is Squidward.
This would be absolutely hilarious.
I can already see some model replacements coming. God damn it. I can already see that. Oh, it's like
Plankton Mega Corporation.
no wait.
That'd be
I
so
have a
awesome.
better idea. Instead of having Quadra, you get Thomas the tank engine and drive that around. Oh my god! Imagine the faces of nomads.
I think we're on. I think we're on to something here.
Thomas the tank engine confirmed in game. Sorry, no. I don't want an article coming out. No.
The Daily Star is listening. You better be careful.
Oh my god. Let's see if there's any more questions. Wait, there's no Bozo Life Pad pre-order cancelled. Yeah, man, I know.
I should add a Bozo statue in the collector's edition.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That would be. I seriously. I'm excited to see what a cyberpunk clown would look like.
Um, just awkward delivery missions to the bozos. You get a list of random junk to bring. Like, bring me a can. Bring me a straw.
Bring me a crouton. Bring me a Caesar salad.
He's driving around Night City. God damn it, where do I find Caesars? So now, god damn. No. I'm really excited about mods. Like, obviously, at the beginning, before the toolkit comes out, there's gonna be limitations, but I honestly can't wait to see what people have in store for us. Because we know there's so many amazing ones. I mean, this game is off the charts everywhere. There's gonna be a lot of people creating mods.
This game is just gonna last forever.
I really hope so. I
hope so too.
Yeah.
It's like, so normally I don't do any Skyrim between spring and fall. I just it's just I'm working too much and I've got too much on my plate and I don't touch it. So it's really great because every year I have this like big downtime where I don't really play with any new mods. I'll play a little bit of Skyrim through the summer, but I have not updated any of my mods. I turn off updates. And then in the following fall, I get to start, like, right now I'm starting to like peruse through the latest mods, and I'm like, oh my god, somebody finally did this, and like, oh my god, somebody finally did that. Like, I can't believe I finally got the tattoos that I've been waiting for literally ever. And it's like and it's so great because it's like, yes, this is great. This is something that I've been anticipating. So I've got like maybe like another month and a half left before I'm off, and I can actually adjust to spending like 5 or 6 hours a day playing some games again. But yeah, no, I can't wait. I've been so happy with what I'm coming across right now. So it's a very good thing. Just a quick response to the question of whether or not mods are coming. They have reiterated a number of times that this is a really important thing that they want to do. This is also a really good idea depending on their plan for the franchise. So if they don't think that they're going to get another Skyrim game out for anywhere between 6 to 8 years, if you really want people to be, waiting in lineup to get their hands on the second game, add mods. Like as rough as Bethesda has been, the next Elder Scrolls game is going to sell bonkers.
Yeah.
Even despite all of the problems, even despite all of the issues that they've had, despite all of the negativity, all of the problems, and even if it was confirmed that there's going to be like monetization and microtransactions and all this other garbage in the game, I still think that it will do absolute bonkers numbers because of the success that Skyrim's had. And it may not, if they fill it up with enough garbage that it's just not acceptable and people are just like, this is absolutely garbage, then no, it won't last. but it's still going to have an amazing first day sale date. There's still going to be so much hype around it, and seeing it, seeing everything that's coming through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for Witcher it was. I mean, Witcher now when I was looking at it the other day, like it has on Steam only 11,000 active players at that moment. So it's like, imagine how many would it be
That's
there?
still a lot, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So imagine
it's they still hit about 200,000 unique accounts playing Skyrim every month.
Jeez.
At the very least 200,000.
Yeah. You see?
So
yeah, I would, man.
High end sits around like I think it's like high end is around like 750,000. So,
goddamn.
Now don't take those numbers as gospel. Those are from a source who knows a source. So So, but yeah, it's like yeah, the game is actually quite. It's still like huge, which is why they're still trying to figure out how to monetize it, because they really want that extra click through. It's like there's a couple things that they could be doing differently, but yeah, it's kind of a mess right now.
Honestly, there is so much in mods right now. It's like I mean, when you think about like the first mods and everything that people created, and now with all the tools, what they create, and it's like it's the future for your game. Honestly, whenever every time, that's something we always learned in our film school. Everything you create, if a person can actually identify himself in any way with your product, your service, whatever, your film, your documentary, you won, because people think about that. And in terms of games, if you have the community working on the game through mods, it brings more players together. It just does.
Oh yeah,
it's a huge connection.
And I mean, and people are modding. Like, there's some projects that are super old, and I want to point out one of the best mods for this. One of the best mods out there right now for New Vegas is actually total conversion is New California Republic. I think is what it's called. And it's like totally new game, 40 some odd hours at the very least to finish the story. Completely put together by a group of volunteers. Amazing voice work, amazing dialogue. Unfortunately, it has a problem running most other mods on it. But amazing lore, features into a bunch of the stuff that was basically the original concept behind Fallout 1 and 2, and the continuation of that story, versus like where Fallout 4 kind of went. So yeah, it just absolutely.
That's the whole reason we're getting like amazing. A Halo on PC is because modders created a Halo online called El Dorito, and 343 Industries followed suit and ported the entire Master Chief Collection, or they will port the entire Master Chief Collection to Steam. So there's like modders set the trend sometimes too.
Oh yeah, well I mean like Battle Royale is
that's true.
Is a mod. PlayerUnknown's originally. Dota was originally a mod on Warcraft 3, which turned into both Dota and Skyrim.
Wow.
The original Half-Life was ported into and created the bloody hell, what's it called? The CS:GO Counter-Strike was the Counter-Strike mod. That's what we have. So basically every game that is currently been in the top charts in the last few years wasn't created by wasn't originally created by developers. It were created by modders, by people who saw an idea, had an idea, worked on it, got it through, started working on it, and then launched the title. And and that's what you have. And and I point this out again and again whenever I'm talking to developers. It says, who is the person that you listen to the most when it comes to gaming? And if their answer isn't we listen to our fans first and foremost, and we are trying to work with them towards things that they want, we are trying to listen to them when it comes to ideas. If that's not their answer, they're idiots, and their company is not going to last very long. It just won't because of stupidity. So
yeah, I mean mods actually shaped the gaming industry of today. It's plain and simple. Without mods, you wouldn't have all these popular games if they didn't start out as mods. I remember, I think the first popular mod for a game, I think it was for Castle Wolfenstein. I think it was called Castle Smurfenstein with Smurfs. And then I believe also the founders of ID Software, they were actually modding Wolfenstein, was it at that time, 3D? And out of that idea, you got Doom. So another idea by modders, then created onto a game. So yeah, it's like mods are a huge thing, and hopefully CD Projekt embraces them for Cyberpunk. Honestly, that would be.
By the way,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Finish.
No, I just want to say that would be the biggest miss, honestly, if they don't.
Yeah. By the way, that Smurfs mod for Wolfenstein was originally actually created by Gargamel. Just so you know.
What?
I know. I'm killing people. It's a joke. It's a joke. Anyways, yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So okay, so I think we actually dragged that out.
There was a lot of interesting questions, honestly. Like interesting discussion. Definitely important for the game. Like
we're about to stop at 50 minutes. Now it's 95.
My god. My god. Time
Yep.
flies sometimes. But anyway, we also got a question. We had a question a long time ago. Yes, the podcast, the Cyberpunk Community Podcast, is on every Sunday, but it rotates to our channels, through our 4 channels. So next week, it's who? You?
Triple S.
I think it's back to us, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's back to
Yeah.
us League.
So next week, the 27th edition of the Community Podcast is going to be on the Triple S League channel. Don't forget to also follow us all on social media to be informed about news, to be informed about the podcast, to be informed about future guests. So yeah, you have all the links down below. Check us out. Was there anything for the end you wanted to add?
Nope. Just
No,
thanks
I'm
to
good.
chat for coming out and supporting the podcast every
Yes.
Sunday. We always get a really good turnout for these things. So
Thank you so much for that, honestly.
appreciate you guys coming out.
Yeah. And
That's about it.
yeah, should be it. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for coming. Next week, Sunday, 8 p.m. European time. I don't really calculate time that well. So we'll see you. We'll see you then. And thank you again. And bye-bye.
See you.
Peace.